Today we are going to move a bit from the CAL software, CAL application, CAL evaluation, and all of this stuff. If you remember from the beginning that we said we are going to cover three main topics. Number one, CAL, corpus linguistics, and artificial intelligence, or what is called computational linguistics. So today, from today's lecture, we are going to talk about corpus linguistics. So what is corpus linguistics? A corpus is a collection of language material made in some principled way, not haphazardly, either on tape or written in hard copy, like books, student essays, or in electronic form. We are concerned only with the last type. Yes, this is our main concern. So a corpus, and the plural of corpus is what? Corpora. We change the US into A. So corpus is single, corpora is the plural form of corpus. So it's a collection of language material. If you collect language materials, let's say students' essay of 1,000 students. You have 1,000 essays collected from students and you stored them in one place. This is a corpus. And why you collect them, we will know later the purposes of using corpus. But let's understand the idea of a corpus. A corpus is a collection of language material, be it on tape, you tape people, you tape their conversations in the telephone and their daily lives, face to face, from the television, from the radio, you tape all of these conversations. So this is a corpus. You collect papers, newspapers for example, from year 2000 until 2013. You have all the newspapers, or one newspaper from 2000 to 2013. This is a corpus. Even if you collect newspapers from 1 month or 1 week, you collect pieces of newspaper, this is also called a corpus linguistics. So we understood the idea of a corpus linguistics, but we are not concerned with this type. What we are concerned with is the electronic version of a corpus. We don't want to look at tapes, we don't want to look at written hard copies of corpora. What we are concerned with is the electronic form. And an evident example of this is what? Google. Google is the biggest corpora, or the biggest corpus we have in the internet, because it stores everything, and then we can search that corpus. But we have Google is not designed to be a corpus for language. There are some sophisticated corpora that we are going to look at them later, inshallah. We have the British National Corpus, very huge corpus that you can have access to, and you can search that corpora or that corpus. So we understood the idea of a corpus. Corpus is a collection of language materials. Such collections are used in many different ways by different people. We are concerned mainly with use of a corpus by linguists to help describe language and test theories. So linguists, they have access to these corpora. Why? Because they want to describe language. For example, I am concerned with the use of the word however. The word however. How Saudis use the word however. Do they use them in the beginning of the sentence, in the middle, or at the end? How can I decide? I need to collect essays from Saudi students their writings, and then I should examine all of these essays, analyze them, and then I can come up with a results. I would say, for example, 90% of Saudi students use the word however at in the beginning of the sentence. How did I do that? Through corpus. So linguists used corpora to describe language and to test theories. You would say, well, I have a theory that most of Saudi students make mistakes in the third person singular. They miss the S from the word, from the verb. They don't say he plays. So this is a theory or a hypothesis. I want to test it. How? I need to have an access to a corpus, to a certain corpus of Saudi students to make a decision. By teachers and learners to aid language learning, a form of CAL, yes. We use a corpus like the last lecture when we saw different websites. These are called a corpus. Why? Because they are storing language material for language learning. To perform any electronic corpus-based task directly, you need two things, a corpus and a search engine. Well, if you want the electronic form of a corpus, you need to have it as an electronic corpus, and then you need a search engine to search for that, to search in the corpus or inside the corpus. A corpus itself is just text, a form of data which may have been originally written or be transcribed speech. So a corpus is a text, either written or was some kind of speech which was transcribed in a written form. Corpora are not all stored in the same format, though often they are in the plainest of DOS or ASCII text, and they may have coded information tags added in and out of the text to show, for example, how was speaking the register of the text or the part of speech of each word. So mainly the corpus sometimes are tagged to show different information, to show, for example, this is a verb or this is an adverb, to show you the part of speech, sometime to give you the mood of the text. Maybe it's descriptive, conversation, an interview, so to give the register of the text. And sometimes it gives you also information about the word itself, not only the part of speech, but also different information about the word. So all of this is stored in the corpus. To use a corpus for any task, you have to access it by using a search engine, a program which generally runs through the text or precompiled index to the text and broadly does one of two things. So you have a search engine to there is something missing. So the search engine will does two important things for you. It will search for the particular information that you are looking for. For example, the word however. And number two, it gives you information about your search. How many instances of the word however in the corpus, and if you ask for more information, depending on the capability of the program or the search engine, it can give you more information. Sometimes it can give you the collocation, the words before and after the word you are searching for. It can also give you the other information we talked about. Is it interview? Is it conversation, is it newspaper, is it from academic essays, etc. Users of Corpora. Who uses Corpora? Oh, sorry. Dictionary makers, to find out how words are actually used and how often, and improve dictionary entries. Yes, for example, you want to know the word, for example, purpose. You go to a dictionary, you check the meaning of purpose, and you just want to make sure that the meaning of purpose is identical, is the same to what people in their daily life used. Do people in their daily life use the word purpose like its definition in the dictionary? So you have a definition in the dictionary, you want to check that meaning, whether it corresponds, whether it is the same to our daily life or not. So you go to a corpus, you hit the word purpose, and then you will see how people use the word purpose. Because in the corpus, maybe you have a collection of academic writings from their speech, from their daily life, from their conversations. So you have all of these information in front of you, and then you can decide, well, yes, the word purpose is identical in its meaning with the corpus. Or sometimes you would say, no, the word purpose, the definition of the word purpose in the dictionary needs to be improved. And this is what I did in one of my research articles. I researched 3 words: purpose, reason, and I really forgot. I have forgotten the third word: reason and purpose, and maybe goal. Some three synonyms, and I have accessed some sort of corpus, and I saw, well, although the definitions in the dictionary were very good, but I made some recommendations and this is very important to show you that languages sometimes they change, and we need to keep track of that change through corpus. We need to collect corpus, and we need to check whether the language is changing, or the word's meaning, for example, or not. Descriptive grammarians, to improve their descriptions to fit the facts of actual use of constructions. So people who describe grammar, the grammar of English, they want to make sure that their descriptions is still right, and is still in accordance with people's use of language. So they go to a corpus, they check, for example, the use of the third singular s. They check, for example, the use of the, and they come up with either some recommendations, or they just reconfirm their past descriptions. Stylisticians, people to see the style of a language. Each person is supposed to have a certain style of a language, which is considered stylistics, linguistics. And one way to study the style of the language is to have a corpus. And then you would say, well, we have different styles. This group of people use this style, the others use the other style, and we can check this through a corpus to see what differences there are in how frequently different authors use certain words. Well, for example, I use certain words, but the others use other certain words. So how can we reach this? Through collecting some language materials, a corpus. We need a corpus to check that. Sociolinguists, to see how frequent certain constructions are in a conversation. So sociolinguist is the study of mainly conversations. So if you want to see how people interact with each other, how do they, for example, have conversations? Sometimes they study the topic switch. How do you switch between topics? Now you are talking about politics, suddenly you talk about sports, suddenly you talk about social life. How do you switch between these topics? Is there a code? Is there a way of a gesture between the two intellectuals to change the subject? So sociolinguists go and collect some conversations, they analyze them, uh, and they come up with some recommendations or some findings. Computational linguists to see if their grammatical parsing programs will work on naturally occurring language. So people who are concerned with computational linguistics, artificial intelligence, and natural language processing, they collect some materials and try to check whether their parsing, their coding of these things are in line with normal speech or with normal languages between people. So they need to have access to human corpus. Language learning researchers to see how often learners with a particular L1 get something wrong. Well, as a researcher, I want to know the errors of Arabic learners when they learn English, what their errors are, and to see how to fix these errors. So I collect some corpus, and then I check their errors, and then I come up with a solution. Well, I would say so many students make a mistake again in the third personal S. They do not add the S to the verb. So one way to solve this is blah 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 blah. Writers of teaching syllabuses to see how often the passive really occurs in academic English. So if I am to author some teaching materials, some textbooks, I need to collect some corpus to improve that textbook. For example, if I want to add a chapter or a section about passive voice, I want to see whether people are really using passive voice, and how much do they use passive voice, to include it in the book. If there is minimal use of passive voice, I should have the same proportion in the text. But if there is great use of passive, I need to have the same proportion in the textbook. Writers of teaching course materials to incorporate authentic examples into their material, and this is very important. If you want to have authentic examples, a corpus is the only source. You are taking authentic examples from daily life, not artificial sentences. And this is what we are seeking. We need to have our materials to be authentic, taken from our daily life, something that we use outside the classroom, not some sentences made up by some textbook designers. Teachers making class tasks or even learners directly themselves. So teachers also use corpus or Cobra to select some task for themselves. They need, for example, a dialogue or a conversation of native speakers. They can have access to a corpus and select the relevant, appropriate task for them. Learners themselves, they want to access, for example, a corpus to learn something, or to have access to some conversations so they learn the English language better. So all of these are users of corpora to supply additional clues for context, guessing word meaning. This is an example of how learners can use a corpus for guidance on how to use Word when writing, to help prompt self-correction. Well, yes, they can have access to a corpus and then they can correct themselves. For example, they want to write, can I say, for example, a beautiful boy or a pretty boy or a handsome boy. Let me check the corpus and see what other people use. So they go to the corpus, they check the word pretty, beautiful, handsome, and they will see that handsome is more associated with boys than the other. So a way to self-correct oneself. For word study, they can use it for word study, and also for language awareness work on grammar to make students or learners aware of the grammar when they check the corpus. Before we end today's lesson, we have the history of corpora. You can check also that website and learn about the history of corpora to give you more information. One objective of our course, this course, is to give you opportunities to have resources other than the lecture, the slides, the book, the live sessions. You need to have more resources. So I am giving you websites to check, and hopefully that you'll benefit from them. I'm not going to visit that website. I'll leave it for your reference, for your general reading, for your general knowledge. But before I end up today's lesson, let us check Google. Let's say that you want to see it to see the word, for example, software. Is it a mass noun? Is it plural? Is it singular? This is your question. So write the word software. You will see the hits here. We have more of 4 billion and 920 millions, or is it 4 million? No, sorry, it's 4 million. Oh, no, it's 4 billion 920 millions hits. So the word software got that number. Let's have the word softwares and check. Is it true? It is only 205 million hits. So what we gather from this, that software and softwares, that software can be pluralized. Software is more frequently used than softwares, but still people use the word softwares. So this is to help you, for example, in your writing. So Google is a free corpus for you. You can use it to check different things, but it's not, as I said, mainly designed for research or for to be a corpus linguistics. Next class, inshallah, will be introduced to some of corpora, and we will get oriented. But until that time, I'll leave you with Google. Try to use Google as a free corpus just to check some information. For example, the word, let's say as our example, beautiful boy. We have, let's put it between converted commas. So we have 4,470,000 hits or results for beautiful boy. Let's say pretty. For pretty boy, we need to have it For pretty boy, we have here 145 million hits. Let's have it as handsome. Handsome boy. For handsome boy, we have 4,340 hits. By comparison, we have 4,144, and we have 19 million. So you see, there is a big. Was that for handsome? 4 million? Yes, it was for 4 million. Well, it's strange for me, but you see that there is an interesting result here, that we got pretty more frequently used than handsome. So we need to check. Do not rely on this result. You need to check and see what is the reason behind this answer. And as I said, Google is not designed for research, but sometimes it can help you to correct yourself, to choose the appropriate word in your writing. So as I said, I'll leave you with Google for today's lesson until we are introduced next time, inshallah, to a proper corpus mainly designed for language and research. Thank you for attending this lecture. I wish you all the best.